So I'm going to start with announcements. We have a 3-day weekend.
Ooh, yes.
No school Monday. It's Memorial Day. So that is really great, unless you're behind on your work. And I'm just saying, when I make generalizations towards that, you guys know if you're behind or not, right? You know exactly where you need to be and exactly what you've got to do. So if it doesn't apply to you, you don't have to text me and say, hey, no, if you're behind in your work, I've already contacted you. So no worries about that. The final is tomorrow. I'm going to be closing module 153 Monday evening. So if, for those of you who are listening to this after, and those of you now, if you have things that you want to go back and do, or you need to go back and do, use your 3-day weekend to do that, because I'm closing out that module. I can't keep everything open because it's just too much to navigate. And plus, when we start a new module, you need to start fresh on the fresh material. Getting behind on assignments, severely behind, like a week behind, that really is your chances of passing and failing is in the palms of your hands when you start doing that. So sometimes we get sick and we have to get caught up on the weekend. The key is get caught up on the weekends. Does that make sense to everybody?
Mm-hmm.
Because that way, whenever we go to a new week, you start the fresh material and you're fresh minded and you're ready to go for the new chapter or the new module or whatever we have coming up. And just being consistent in your assignments. Latasha will tell you, because some of y'all do every 2 days, some do every 3 days, somebody does every day. If Latasha or Sonia or any of you ladies, if you don't do something, I'm like, hey, all right, because I look at trends. Some people work major hours and they trend every 2 to 3 days. Does that make sense? So if you're getting a text message from me, it's not ever fussing. It's because I know who turns in daily work. I know who does it on the week. You know what? So I'm always checking and making sure that you're okay and nothing's wrong. That's how I found out Sonia Dean was flooded. Just saying. Okay, so I think that's all the announcements. I am going to be doing something I'm trying to create. I would like to start here soon. I'm going to start picking a student of the month. And I'm going to get together what the requirements are for that. It's going to be a lot of things like, are you turning in all of your assignments, attitude, Zoom attendance, communication, your score, obviously. And I am throwing around what to do as the perk for the student of the month. So I'm thinking bonus points may be in order. So, but I want everybody to understand that just because this is what I hate. If I could choose 5 or 6, I would. Because there's a lot of us and so many of you are amazing. But I know a lot about what's going on behind the scenes. And so I'm just going to give an example. I have a student in my Edmodo class during the day. She gave birth. She never stopped doing her work. That is star material right there. She didn't say, oh, I'm going to take the 6 weeks off and go on LOA. She was like, no, ma'am, I am on a good roll. I'm going to have this baby and I'm going to just keep doing it. You know what? She did. So that's just an example of one of those things that go ping, ping, ping. Where's Miss Roblin at? Hang on, let me check to see if she has said something because she hasn't popped on yet. I know this is not how we usually like to do this, but she said she was going to be here. That wasn't Miss Roblin, that was Miss Rhonda. Sorry, Miss Rhonda, she's here. Okay, all right, so now we're going to go straight into our review for our final. I want to make a point. How many of you have taken time to really go through the first part of your CPT, label, see what's there? I know Miss Kelly has because we've talked about it. Miss Kelly, tell them how those tricks are working for you.
It makes it so, like the DDM, you know, or can't even think right now, DDH or whatever for the history. It is so easy to just scroll through and be able to just look at those initials you told us to put there. And then the tabs at the top, you don't even have to think about it. You just pick it up and go right to it. There's no scrolling through pages.
So again, if you will take these little tricks of the trade that I'm telling you guys, it makes a huge difference. Even if it sounds silly to you at the time, when you start using these little tricks, you're going to be like, oh, I've been doing this long enough to know. And I've heard, see, Miss Kelly, hold it up again so they can see it. She's tabbed. Look, I've tabbed, and when I open up my E&M, I know where my consultations are. I didn't label everything, just consultations, you know, things that preventative medicine. If you label nothing but preventative medicine, label preventative medicine, because when you're looking for him, he hides. Okay, so I am going to just throw out a review question. The question is, which of the following represents 3 of the 6 elements that a special report must contain? Now, that is a multiple choice question, but you're thinking, where do I find that? If you know what's in here, guess what you can find?
The answer.
So if you turn to page, well, it's XVII. And I have it. And it says special report. And nature, extent, and need is your answer. And guess where I found my answer? In special report. 98% of what you need are in these manuals. How do you know what's in your manuals?
By reading them and going
By
through them.
getting in them and these are your, now I don't want to say Bible because Bible is very important, but like these are your handbooks. These are your maps. These are what's important for you to know. This is what you're going to be referencing. Even if you have cheat sheets at your facility, sometimes you're going to have to use these manuals. And if you know what's in them and why it's important, what information is important, it's just going to make you more successful. So spend time in these manuals. We're not going to use this book again after this module, but still it's your book. Do some practice. We might wrap around and do some practice again. But this book isn't hard to navigate. None of these books are hard to navigate if you spend time in them. Okay, so which of the following represents 3 of the 6 elements that a special report must contain? Nature, extent, and need. And it's found right there under special reports on XVII.
Mm-hmm.
So take some time this afternoon, look through those pages before E&M. Look through the E&M, and just so you can refresh your memory. Okay, so I'm going to ask this question. In which CPT appendix would additions, deletions, and revisions be found? Where are your appendixes? I don't have mine on here because I got a new manual and I was waiting. They're back here, right? So it is a multiple choice question. It's A, B, C, or D. If you have those tabbed, you just turn back to them. Make sense? So what appendix is additions, deletions, and revisions found? A, B, C, or D?
B.
Miss Jada says B. Who votes B? It is B. So if you have an appendix question, go to the back of your CPT manual and look at your appendix. Just as simple as being able to go to that reference guide and just get it. You can use your manuals for every single test. If you want to remember something, you can't remember it, there are note pages in your CPT book. Write it down somewhere. It's your manual. It's your guide, and you can use it for every test. Okay. Where is specific coding information about each section located? The introduction, procedural section, guidelines, or your index? What's in the green pages before every section of your CPT?
Guidelines.
Guidelines. And that's where it gives you special instructions. There's something special that you need to know about something in that section, it is found in your guidelines. So specific coding information about each section is located in your guidelines. And that's on green pages before each section. Okay? What year was CPT first developed and published?
1966.
1966. Know this, 1966. You don't just need to know it for your final, you're gonna have it on your NCCT certification exam. Okay? Category 1 CPT codes have how many digits?
6. Is it? No, hold on. Let's see if I have it. 6, 5. Let's see.
Who votes 6? Who votes 5? Hold out how many?
5.
5.
It is 5. 5 digits. And if you don't remember when your test comes around, open your book and count them. You know, sometimes we get test anxiety and we have to double check. You know what? Sometimes I have to go 992035. So anyway, okay. The rules that govern coding in various healthcare settings are variable, static, unchanging, or nationally established. Now, I know we want to say nationally established, don't we?
Unchanging, huh?
But they're variable.
Oh, variable. Okay.
They're variable. I know that's a tricky one, but it seems to just show up several times. So that is variable. In various healthcare settings, the reason that the rules are variable, because if you're seeing mostly Medicare patients, Medicare rule and guidelines for coding is a little different. So there has to be some give and shift in things. It has to be somewhat variable. They are nationally established, but there's some room in there for different third-party payers. So that's why it's variable. Okay, what's a modifier? I'm just going to give you some choices. Does a modifier subtract from the definition of the code? Okay. Does it increase third-party payer reimbursement? Let me ask you a different one. Provides additional information to the third-party payer.
That's a modifier.
That's the best answer, right?
Yes,
It
ma'am.
can increase payment, or if you don't use the modifier, it can decrease payment. But the best answer is it provides additional information to the third-party payer, right? Sometimes it tells them that it's on the right side or the left side, or bilateral, which means both sides, and bilateral is going to carry more money than if you just do one side. It may tell them that, hey, I did more than one thing here, so don't just pay me for one, pay me for two. So it adds that extra information and it does increase pay. But what the answer that we're looking for here is it provides extra information. What does HCPCS stand for?
Oh,
Care.
health, Somebody saying it? Healthcare Common Procedure Coding System.
Healthcare Common Procedure Coding System. If you have trouble remembering that, write in your book right here. That's paper right there. Get you a marker and write it down. Nothing saying you can't do that. It's your book, right? I'm not going to lie to you. Sometimes I have to really think about this book because we don't use it a whole lot. So I really have to go, Okay. HCPCS alphanumeric codes are also known as level 2 codes, level 1 codes, or CPT codes.
Level 2.
Says it right here, level 2. Do you understand why I'm kind of showing you? Kind of letting you know the things that you need are here already. Just know where to find them. Okay. HCPCS codes have how many digits? 0486.
5.
5. They also have 5. CPT and HCPCS, 5 digits. Okay. What year did CMS develop and publish the HCPCS? I was looking to see if I could see it in here somewhere.
80 something.
Okay. 1966, 1970, or 1983?
83.
It's 83. Listen, remember the 80s. Miss Marsha's an 80s girl, so that's when that HCPCS book came out. Or write it in your HCPCS. I'm sure it's in here somewhere, but I didn't take time to really thumb through and find out. Okay. This is where your payment's going to come in. Modifiers may affect healthcare premiums. Do we know what healthcare premiums are? That's how much you pay for your healthcare. It is not going to affect that. Okay. Type of treatment provided. No. The way payment is made by a third-party payer.
Yes.
Or code selection.
Third-party payer.
A third-party payer. Because that modifier gives extra information to the third-party payer. All right. We feeling good so far?
Yes.
Okay. The modifier AA is an example of what type of modifier? CPT or HCPCS?
AA is HCPCS, right?
AA is HCPCS. I'm looking in the CPT and it says level 2 HCPCS national. AA isn't listed there, but if you went to your modifiers here, it's listed in here. But if you can't remember, take a minute and look, find out which book it's in, and then see what it's labeled under. Now I want to know what AA stands for. Anesthesia services performed personally by an anesthesiologist. I knew it was anesthesiologist something, but I was wanting to know that. Okay. These elements would be part of the blank history: employment, education, use of drugs, past, social, or family. Employment, education, and use of drugs. How many times have you been asked, do you drink socially? Do you do drugs socially? It's part of your social history. I know it sounds weird that an employment and education would be part of social, but it is. What really helps me remember is the drugs or the alcohol, because are you a social drinker? Are you a social drug user? You know, those questions come up. So that automatically, so that's social history. Bruising would be an element to review of this organ system. Integumentary, neurologic, hematologic, or immunologic.
Hematologic.
Yes, okay. I want to talk about that for just a
Under
second.
the skin, right? Oh,
The skin is integumentary. So when we have a bruise, we think that that's on our skin, but
Right.
it is not. It is blood underneath our skin. So
mhm.
it's hematologic is where our blood system. So it's hematologic. All right, do we have our CPT books ready?
I was getting ready.
Because I'm just going to read these off and I'm going to tell you something. I know Miss Kelly's going to be fast at this because she labeled her CPT with these letters. Do you guys remember me talking about the letters?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, are we ready?
PHR.
A new patient, physician's office, comprehensive history, exam, and high complexity, MDM. New patient, physician's office, comprehensive history, exam, with a high complexity of medical decision making. Don't you know it, Miss Kelly? I know you do.
Would it be 99205?
So, Miss Kelly, what do you have written by your 99205?
That one, that section,
It don't have the little.
it doesn't
Oh.
have those little bullet things.
Y'all, I'm sorry, my old manual did, and I keep forgetting. But you can still write beside there.
I just lined mine of the MDM complexity. I just underlined it if it was
That's-
high, moderate, low, or straightforward.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
what I
Right.
did.
Let me ask you, with the 99205, what would you have to send with that code if you are billing it and coding it?
Medical records.
Special report, medical records. And remember that first question was what's involved in a special report? And it was nature, extent, and need. Why did we need to see this patient for 45 minutes? What's the extent of their illness? What's the nature of the problem?
'Cause everything that
Anything with
ends in
that
a
5
five
is going to carry a
bad.
lot more weight and a lot more money, so they're going to want to know why. And so that's how those two things correlate. Okay. Oh, I have 10 minutes. All right. Initial inpatient consultation. Detailed history, detailed exam, low medical decision making. If you haven't, don't say it. Let everybody else try to get there. Initial inpatient consultation, detailed history, detailed exam, low complexity.
Detail. Okay. Consultation.
Latasha, is one of your babies singing?
I have no idea. I'm kind of trying to block her out.
How you doing, Miss Rhonda? You got it? You think?
I think so.
Okay, what you got?
I got 99243.
99243?
253. I'm looking at the wrong.
I'm sorry, 99253?
Yes, ma'am.
Who agrees? I agree. That's right, Miss Rhonda. Great job. Okay, I'm gonna do one more. A 40-year-old established patient presents to the physician's office for a preventative care exam. 40-year-old established preventative care. Did you label that? You did.
40 years old.
40 years old. Please keep your answer if you've got it. Preventative care, 40 years old, established, not new, established.
Oops. Got that.
Miss Sonia, what you got? Oh, we can't hear you. Oh, try again.
99396.
Who agrees? Are y'all sure?
Ma'am. It's in my established.
That's what I wanted to see. Yes, you're right. Y'all knew I had to throw it in there somewhere, right? I always do.
I was actually waiting for it.
Okay, I want to just kind of talk to you about this one. If you have a question that says, for example, the code range for home services is, you would put like 99341 all the way through 99350. So you would find home services in E&M and you start at the very first code and you go to the very last code in home services. That's what they're looking for in those code ranges. I don't remember if I put it on the final or not, to be honest with you. I probably didn't, but in case I did, and whenever they ask you for code ranges, because they're going to do that sometimes, you just give them exactly what they're asking for. The first code to the last code in home services. Okay. True or false? If a coder is unable to locate a code that describes the exact service provided, it is acceptable to use a code that approximates the service provided.
False.
You want me to read it again? If a coder is unable to locate a code that describes the exact service provided, it is acceptable to use a code that approximates the service provided.
False.
Can you just choose a code that you think's kind of close to it?
No.
That is false. You may not. You can use an unlisted code if there's not one that goes with that. And when you use an unlisted code, you would have to send medical records to tell them why you've chosen an unlisted code. I've never had to choose an unlisted code, guys, but in this rare situations that it may happen. But you can't just kind of guesstimate. Your medical record has to match your CPT code. And if you get it wrong and the third-party payer catches it, they're going to send it back to you and say, hey, this isn't quite what we need. This isn't right. This doesn't match. And you can get another shot at it. That happens to everybody. It happens to everybody. You could invert a number. You know, there's just lots of things that can happen. Okay, so I'm going to ask one more true or false question, and we'll be done with our review. That's what we're doing, a review. Okay, level 2 national modifiers are located in the introduction section of the HCPCS and also in Appendix A of the CPT. If you get this question tomorrow and you don't know, pull out your CPT and your HCPCS and look.
True, it's true.
It is true. It is true. I have every confidence that this test is going to be a breeze for y'all. Are y'all feeling better about it?
Yes.
Yes.
You guys
Without
are
a
going to rock
review.
it out. It's not going to be a problem.
And really, guys, if you guys get time, label it because it's so much quicker.
Okay.
I'm telling y'all, if you just follow my tips, they're tried and true methods. You wait until we get into the ICD-10. You're going to be doing something called bubbling and highlighting. And if you listen to me and do it, guess how well you're going to do with your ICD-10. It's going to be just like that. Right now, we've been doing a little bit of ICD-10, and I'm actually getting ready to do another class next week on ICD-10 because as we go through, they're still asking for those codes. I don't think it's fair to require you to have those because you haven't gone through that, but I still want you to be comfortable with trying it. And so we're going to be, doing things like that here and there. So anyway, so any questions, any concerns, anything I can do for you guys before we go?
Will you unlock the test today or tomorrow?
I'm going to unlock it as soon as we get off the call.
Okay. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Well,
All
it's
right,
especially
guys.
the-
Bye. Have a good day.
Bye.
Let me know if you
Thank
need
you.
anything.
Bye, ladies.
Bye,
Bye.
y'all.